The night the market moved, most people were sleeping. Somewhere, a trader woke up to find his account completely erased. Somewhere else, a young investor closed her laptop and whispered, "This is the moment I either quit or level up." And somewhere, a quiet winner looked at the same crash and smiled, not because it was easy, but because this is exactly how wealth is transferred. When silver dropped from 88 to 74 and 41,000 traders were liquidated overnight, it wasn't just a market event, it was a brutal life lesson unfolding in real time. It was the market reminding us that emotion is costly, discipline is priceless, and patience is a rare superpower. I remember sitting in my car years ago, broke, listening to a podcast about a man who lost everything in the dot-com crash and rebuilt his fortune by learning one unforgiving rule: never confuse volatility with failure. That single truth changed how I understood money, risk, and life itself. Because the market is nothing more than a mirror. It reflects who you are when things stop going your way. Here's the truth most people never learn. Every major fortune is built in chaos. Warren Buffett built his empire buying when fear was everywhere. Ray Dalio made his biggest breakthroughs by studying collapse. The entrepreneurs who survived 2008 and 2020 didn't win because they were lucky. They won because they stayed disciplined when others panicked, patient when others capitulated, and calm when others were destroyed. They won because they were prepared while others were panicking. When silver collapsed, the emotional crowd saw disaster. The disciplined investor saw discount. The gambler lost everything. The builder sharpened his strategy. The same event, completely different outcomes. Second truth, leverage amplifies who you already are. If you are reckless, it destroys you faster. If you're patient and strategic, it multiplies your future. 41,000 traders didn't lose because silver moved. They lost because they were overexposed, overconfident, and underprepared. That's not just investing advice, that's life advice. Don't build your dreams on borrowed confidence. Build them on skills, reserves, and self-control. Third truth, wealth is not created by prediction. It's created by positioning. You don't have to know exactly where the market goes tomorrow. You just need to be standing in the right place when opportunity appears. Cash is a position. Knowledge is a position. Emotional stability is a position. Most people only prepare for sunshine. Winners prepare for storms. If you want real progress from moments like this, here are your shifts. Stop chasing quick wins. Start building long-term systems. Respect risk more than reward. Keep dry powder. Study market cycles the way athletes study game film. When fear spikes, slow down. When confidence spikes, double-check yourself. Create rules for your money so emotions never get the final decision. And here's the deeper layer. This isn't just about silver or markets. Life will liquidate you too if you overextend emotionally, financially, spiritually. The same discipline that protects your portfolio protects your future. The same patience that builds wealth builds character. The same mindset that survives market crashes builds unbreakable people. The crash is not the end. It is the invitation. The invitation to become the person who doesn't panic when others fall. The person who doesn't quit when things get uncomfortable. The person who looks at chaos and says, "This is where my next level begins." Most people think fortunes are created in comfort and perfect timing and calm, predictable moments when everything feels safe and certain. But the truth is the exact opposite. Every meaningful rise in wealth, power, influence, and personal transformation begins when the world feels unstable, when headlines are heavy, when fear is loud, when uncertainty is everywhere. Crisis is not the enemy of success. It is the environment where success is forged. It is the pressure chamber that compresses ordinary thinking into extraordinary results. And history proves this over and over again. During the Great Depression, when businesses were collapsing and banks were failing, some of the most powerful companies in existence today were being built. Families who understood opportunity quietly accumulated assets while the crowd was selling in panic. During the 2008 financial collapse, while millions were frozen by fear, Investors like Warren Buffett and entrepreneurs across the world were acquiring companies, property, and influence at prices that would never be seen again. During the pandemic crash, while social media was screaming disaster, a new generation of wealth being created by those who stayed calm, stayed liquid, stayed focused, and made decisions based on logic instead of emotion. Crisis strips away illusion. It reveals who is prepared and who is pretending. It exposes weak foundations and rewards those who built slowly, patiently, and intelligently. When the ground shakes, you find out whether your structure was real or imagined. And this is where the greatest fortunes are born. Because when everyone else is paralyzed, the prepared move. When everyone else is reactive, the disciplined execute. When everyone else is focused on survival, the visionary are already building the future. In personal life, the same law applies. Every major transformation is triggered by breakdown. The moment of financial struggle that forces new skills. The moment of rejection that forces new standards. The moment of loss that forces new strength. No one becomes powerful without first being tested. No one becomes wealthy without first learning how to operate under pressure. Crisis introduces you to your next version, but only if you stay present and conscious inside the storm. Those who win understand that crisis is temporary, but the position you take during it can be permanent. They use fear as a signal to think deeper, not quit faster. They treat chaos as information, not intimidation. They move with patience when others rush. They prepare when others complain. They study when others panic. And this is how a moment that destroys some becomes the foundation of everything for others. Most people enter the world of money and success believing the key is prediction. They search for the perfect forecast, the perfect signal, the perfect moment when the future feels guaranteed. But real builders learn something far more powerful. Discipline will always outperform prediction because the future cannot be controlled. But your behavior can. And in every market cycle, in every business season, in every phase of life, the individuals who rise are not the ones who guessed correctly once. They are the ones who executed correctly for years. Think about the investors who survive decades while others vanish after one bad year. It is never because they had supernatural foresight. It is because they followed rules when emotion was screaming at them to break them. They invested when their plan told them to invest. They waited. When their plan told them to wait, they cut losses when their system said cut. Even when their ego begged them to hold, discipline protected them when confidence failed. Discipline saved them when fear arrived, carried them when motivation disappeared. In business, the same pattern appears. The entrepreneur who builds an empire is not the one with the boldest predictions about the future of the market. It is the one who shows up daily, improves systems, manages cash, controls costs, treats customers with consistency, studies mistakes, and compounds small improvements year after year. Many predicted trends that never came. But the disciplined operators who mastered execution during boring seasons are the ones who dominate when opportunity finally explodes. In life, this rule is even more visible. The person who trains when no one is watching, who saves when spending is tempting, who studies when comfort is available, who chooses long-term growth over short-term pleasure. That person becomes dangerous in the best way because when opportunity appears, they are already prepared while everyone else is still trying to figure out what happened. Market cycles reward discipline because discipline compounds invisibly. Every controlled decision strengthens your future position. Every emotional mistake weakens it. Over time, the gap becomes so large it looks like magic to those who never saw the daily process behind it. Discipline turns average starting points into extraordinary outcomes, while brilliant predictions with poor behavior collapse under pressure. And this is why the calmest people in the room usually end up owning the room. If this message sharpened your mindset, strengthened your discipline, and reminded you what you're capable of, let it keep moving. Like this video, subscribe for more wisdom on money, growth, and success. Share this with someone who's standing at a crossroads right now. And remember, The market doesn't decide your destiny. Your mindset does. Volatility is not chaos. It is truth in motion. It is the moment when the mask falls off the market and off the people inside it. When prices swing violently, when certainty disappears, when the future becomes unclear. That is when you discover who is operating from strength and who is operating from hope. Because in calm conditions, almost everyone looks confident, almost everyone looks skilled, almost everyone believes they are in control, but only in turbulence do real investors and real leaders reveal themselves. When markets are rising smoothly, discipline is easy, patience feels natural, and risk looks harmless. But when numbers start collapsing, when headlines turn dark, so when social media fills with panic and doubt, that is when behavior becomes more important than knowledge. That is when preparation defeats personality. The same person who looked brilliant in a bull market can fall apart in a drawdown, while the quiet, disciplined builder suddenly becomes unstoppable. History shows this again and again. The investors who built legendary reputations were not those who shined the brightest in easy times. They were the ones who remained functional when the world around them lost control. During crashes, wars, recessions, and industry disruptions, leaders emerged not because they avoided the storm, but because they learned how to move inside it without losing clarity. They did not chase certainty. They built resilience. They did not beg for stability. They became the stability. In business, the same truth applies. When competition increases and profits shrink, the weak blame conditions, the strong improve systems. When customers disappear, the fearful cut vision, the strategic redesign models. When pressure rises, the unprepared retreat, the disciplined reorganize and advance. Volatility exposes leadership, because leadership is not about how you act when everything works. It is about how you operate when nothing does. In life, volatility arrives as uncertainty, failure, rejection, sudden loss, unexpected change. And these moments do not break you. They introduce you to yourself. They reveal the level of your preparation, the depth of your character, the strength of your vision, and the quality of your habits. Because under pressure, the mind does not rise to the level of hope. It falls to the level of training. And those who train daily, silently, patiently, without applause, become the ones who stand when the shaking stops. Leverage is one of the most misunderstood forces in both money and life. Most people think of it only as a tool to multiply profit, but leverage first multiplies the person using it. Whatever discipline, patience, fear, ego, or wisdom already lives inside you becomes louder the moment leverage enters the equation. Because leverage does not create character. It reveals it. It does not make you better or worse. It simply turns the volume up on who you already are. In the markets, this is painfully clear. The disciplined investor who respects risk and manages position size uses leverage carefully and survives storms that destroy reckless traders. But the emotional gambler who chases excitement and shortcuts is exposed immediately when leverage amplifies every mistake. What looked like confidence becomes arrogance. What looked like courage becomes carelessness. And what looked like intelligence collapses into panic. Not because the market was unfair, but because leverage demanded honesty. The same law exists in business. Growth is a form of leverage. When a company scales quickly, every weakness in leadership, culture, communication, and decision-making becomes magnified. Strong foundations become powerful engines. Weak foundations become dangerous cracks. Many businesses fail not because they grew, but because they grew before their systems were ready, before their discipline was strong, before their values were clear. Leverage did not ruin them. It simply revealed what was already there. In personal life, leverage appears as opportunity, influence, responsibility, attention, and even time. When someone is suddenly given more money, more status, or more control, their inner world is exposed. Some become calmer, wiser, and more intentional. Others become chaotic, reckless, and self-destructive. The external expansion did not change them. It uncovered them. And this is why preparation is everything before growth. because growth without inner stability is the fastest path to collapse. Those who build lasting success understand that the goal is not to chase leverage. The goal is to become the kind of person who can handle leverage. They strengthen discipline before increasing risk. They refine habits before chasing scale. They master self-control before seeking power. They know that the real work happens long before the rewards arrive. Because once leverage enters the picture, there is no hiding from who you truly are. Most people believe wealth comes from guessing correctly, from finding the perfect stock, the perfect business, the perfect moment when everything lines up. But the truth is, wealth is rarely built by prediction. It is built by positioning, by placing yourself in environments where opportunity naturally flows toward you over time, by aligning your skills, resources, relationships, and mindset so that when the future unfolds, you are already standing in the right place to receive it. The most successful investors did not become great because they forecasted every move of the market. They became great because they structured their lives around exposure to growth. They built networks inside powerful industries. They accumulated assets that benefited from long-term trends. They stayed liquid when others were locked. They educated themselves when others were distracted. And over the years, these positions compounded quietly while the world chased headlines. In business, this principle is just as powerful. The entrepreneurs who win are not those constantly reacting to trends, but those who choose strong arenas and commit to mastering them. They place themselves in expanding markets, build systems that can grow with demand, surround themselves with people who think strategically, and design businesses that benefit from time. The future does not have to be predicted when your position benefits no matter which direction it moves. In life, positioning is the hidden advantage most people ignore. The habits you choose, the friends you keep, the books you read, the skills you practice, the risks you take. These decisions quietly determine what opportunities can even reach you. Many people fail not because opportunity never comes, but because they are standing in places where opportunity cannot find them. They chose comfort over growth, noise over learning, convenience over development, and the door never appears because they never walked near it. Those who understand positioning move differently. They invest in environments that stretch them. They seek mentors before they seek money. They choose long-term advantage over short-term pleasure. They prepare their minds and finances for change. So when the world shifts, they are not scrambling. They are stepping forward. They do not wait for perfect clarity. They build strong positions and let clarity meet them along the way. Emotional control is the quiet force behind every great fortune, yet it is rarely discussed because it looks invisible from the outside. But inside every successful investor, entrepreneur, and leader, there's a private discipline that governs reactions, decisions, and behavior long before results appear. Emotions move faster than logic, louder than reason, and more persuasively than facts. And without control, they become the most expensive enemy a person can face. In financial markets, the damage of uncontrolled emotion is immediate and measurable. Fear causes people to sell at the worst possible time. Greed convinces them to chase when risk is highest. Impatience pushes them to abandon good strategies before they can work. And ego prevents them from admitting mistakes while losses quietly compound. The charts do not destroy accounts. Behavior does. And every market cycle repeats this lesson for those willing to observe it. In business, the same force determines survival and collapse. Leaders who panic during downturns cut the wrong costs, abandon vision, and lose their best people, while calm leaders slow the noise, gather information, communicate clearly, and turn uncertainty into strategic advantage. Emotional stability allows them to think long-term when others are trapped in short-term fear. And that clarity becomes a competitive weapon more powerful than capital. In personal life, emotional control shapes destiny, the ability to delay gratification, to remain composed under pressure, to choose discipline over impulse, to respond instead of react, becomes the foundation of trust, health, and opportunity. Relationships strengthen when emotions are mastered. Careers grow when reactions are measured, and confidence deepens when self-control becomes automatic. The person who governs their emotions governs their future. Those who build extraordinary lives treat emotional training as seriously as financial training. They practice stillness and chaos, patience and uncertainty, humility and success, and focus and distraction. They do not eliminate emotion. They master it because emotion is energy, and controlled energy becomes power. And this is why emotional control stands as the ultimate financial weapon, invisible to the crowd, but unstoppable in effect. Most people wait for perfect conditions before they begin building their future. They wait for the economy to improve, for the market to stabilize, for life to become easier. But the truth is that sunshine rarely creates anything meaningful. Comfort produces dreams, but storms produce builders. And history shows that the people who shape the world do their greatest work when conditions are uncomfortable, uncertain, and demanding. When the environment is calm, many people talk about what they will do someday. They plan, they imagine, they promise themselves change. But when storms arrive, when pressure increases, when resources shrink and fear grows, only a few remain standing. And those few begin constructing something real because difficulty forces focus. Adversity eliminates excuses, and hardship demands action. The storm does not weaken the builder. It awakens them. Look at the companies born during recessions, the artists who created masterpieces during war, the leaders who emerged when nations were struggling. These individuals were not waiting for better weather. They were learning how to build in the rain. They adjusted their methods, strengthened their foundations, and kept moving.